Several new developments in South suburban Dalton today. First, the state comptroller has suspended some payments to the village because it has failed to follow the law by providing financial reports.
You could feel the anger tonight at a Board of Trustees meeting in Thornton Township. The board and citizens looking for accountability to their finances.
Get ready for a story that'll make you question everything you thought you knew. Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dalton, Illinois, is back in the news. But this time, it's not because of her so-called service to the public. Despite pulling in a hefty six-figure salary, reportedly around $300,000 annually, Henyard is now facing eviction for failing to pay her rent. She's months behind on her payments. How could this possibly happen to someone in her position? With a salary like hers, covering rent should be a walk in the park. But as the story unravels, it becomes clear there's far more to this situation than anyone could have imagined, and things are only getting worse.
And unfortunately, we knew it was going to be a little messy, but it's just something we felt important that had to be done, that should be done. So, but like I said,
Tiffany Henyard has long wielded power, but now she's painting herself as the victim in an escalating drama. Claiming that the legal and financial mess surrounding her is all part of a plot to remove her from office, Henyard continues to rally her supporters. But with every new piece of evidence, her accusations of a smear campaign are starting to lose their credibility. As if things weren't already bad enough, the investigations into her financial and legal issues have only deepened. Local officials, including the trustees of Dalton, are now taking serious action to hold her accountable, seeking expert advice on how to move forward. This is no longer just about unpaid rent or reckless spending. This is turning into a full-scale probe into whether Henyard's mishandling of public funds is a long-standing problem. One of the most troubling discoveries involves Henyard and her associate Kamal Woods allegedly mismanaging taxpayer-funded grants. A prime example centers on a youth program grant that allegedly ended up in questionable payments to individuals like Anthony Butler, who reportedly pocketed more than $66,000 for services that are now under intense scrutiny. The lack of clear documentation for these funds, combined with Henyard's extravagant trips and parties funded by taxpayers, has sparked an uproar. Public patience is quickly wearing thin as more details surface. Critics accuse Henyard of neglecting her duties and argue that her misuse of funds is symptomatic of deeper, systemic problems. As the situation grows more critical, Henyard's political future hangs by a thread. With legal battles mounting and a rising tide of investigations, residents are left wondering if she can salvage her career or if this will be the end of her political life. Her eviction case has only added fuel to the fire, further highlighting her inability to manage even the simplest financial responsibilities, despite her considerable income. If Henyard can't even pay her rent, how can she be trusted to manage the finances of an entire village? Her increasingly erratic behavior and disregard for legal orders have left her leadership in jeopardy. Despite everything, Henyard insists she's the victim of a political witch hunt, casting herself as a martyr. But as more evidence piles up, the pressure on her intensifies. The longer she denies the mounting facts and avoids taking real action, the harder it will be for her to hold on to power. This scandal is far from over, and the public is watching closely to see what happens next. Will Henyard clear her name and regain her credibility, or will the weight of her financial mismanagement be too much for her to overcome? One thing is certain. The drama surrounding Tiffany Henyard is only beginning, and it's bound to keep Dalton in the spotlight for a long time. Her attempts to frame herself as the target of a larger conspiracy are starting to unravel as the evidence against her keeps growing. What started as a political struggle is now evolving into a full-blown crisis, with Henyard's personal and professional misdeeds at the center of the storm. Her claims of being unfairly targeted are starting to sound more like a distraction from the very real issues that have defined her time in office. Local leaders are growing increasingly frustrated with her leadership and the investigations into her financial dealings, along with reports of extravagant personal spending on the public's dime, have painted a troubling picture. It's not just her misuse of public funds. It's also her apparent disregard for basic financial obligations, like paying rent, that's raising serious concerns about her competence as a leader. As public frustration mounts, Henyard's position grows more tenuous. Her approval ratings are slipping, and her ability to rally support is being tested like never before. The more her actions are exposed, the harder it becomes for her to maintain her victim narrative. The people of Dalton, who once trusted her, are now watching as her credibility disintegrates with every new revelation. The burning question now: can Henyard turn this around, or will this scandal be the spark that ignites the end of her political career? The ongoing legal battles and financial probes continue to unfold, and the stakes have never been higher for her. Her leadership in Dalton is on the line, and her political future is hanging by a thread. As the fallout from her actions spreads, local officials and the public alike are left grappling with the aftermath. While some still stand by her, the tide is clearly turning against Henyard. With everything on the line, her next steps will be crucial. Can she regain control of the narrative? Or is this the moment that seals her political downfall? The drama surrounding Tiffany Henyard is far from over, and Dalton braces for whatever comes next.
I do not handle anything as relates to with credit cards. As you heard me speak today in my board meeting about, I do not handle that.
Some of those charges are for you, though.
No.
Tiffany Henyard's scandalous fall from grace is unfolding into a tale of financial mismanagement, legal troubles, and rapidly dwindling public trust. As more details surface, it's becoming painfully clear that her political career is hanging by a thread, and the public's patience has reached its limit. Allegations of misusing taxpayer money for personal expenses, mishandling public grants, and an ongoing federal investigation are just the beginning of the storm. What started as questions about her unpaid rent and extravagant spending has exploded into something much darker. The FBI's involvement raises serious concerns about Henyard's financial practices, particularly around security costs that some believe were diverted for personal use. To make matters worse, these costs were reportedly racked up during her out-of-town trips, including personal vacations, stoking further accusations of exploiting public funds for private gain. What began as whispers about Henyard's lavish lifestyle, like her pricey Las Vegas getaways and questionable purchases, has now spiraled into a federal investigation. Corruption allegations are emerging, with reports of misused funds for youth programs and odd payments to individuals with unclear connections to Henyard. These revelations are shaking the public's confidence in her ability to handle taxpayer money and manage city resources properly. Alongside her professional downfall, Henyard is now facing a personal financial crisis. The eviction case, linked to unpaid rent on a Polal 100-a-month property, has become a glaring symbol of her broader financial mismanagement. Despite earning a six-figure salary of $300,000 a year, she has failed to meet even the most basic financial obligations. The involvement of Kamal Woods, an associate, only adds more fuel to the fire, stirring further suspicion about what's really happening behind closed doors. Even more concerning are the rumors that Henyard may not even live at the property she's being evicted from. Some insiders are suggesting ties to illegal activity, which only deepens the mystery. Her refusal to allow property inspections adds to the growing suspicion, leaving many to wonder if there's more to this story than anyone can see. The public's response has been swift and unforgiving. Social media users have been vocal, blasting Henyard for misusing taxpayer money and questioning her leadership skills. With each new report, her credibility continues to crumble, and the perception that she is either incompetent or corrupt is becoming widely accepted. The public seems to have lost faith in her, and calls for her resignation are growing louder by the day. Despite the rising tide of discontent, Henyard remains defiant. She's attempting to paint herself as the target of a smear campaign, claiming that her political enemies are attacking her because she's a woman in power. But this narrative is falling flat as the public's perception shifts. Her attempt to frame the situation as gender-based discrimination is resonating with fewer and fewer people. With her eviction court date set for October 22nd and federal fee fighting investigations underway, the stakes have never been higher for Henyard. The outcome of these legal battles could determine whether she can salvage any hope of resurrecting her political career, but her reputation may already be beyond repair. What was once a foundation of public trust has crumbled, and many are now asking if this is the end of her political aspirations. As the investigation into her finances deepens, Dalton residents are demanding answers. The calls for accountability, transparency, and a full investigation into her actions are only growing louder. Whether Henyard can survive this storm or whether this marks the end of her career is still unclear. But one thing is certain: the public is watching her every move, and the pressure is mounting.